Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to another episode of Naked Sunday. I am your host, Caleb Nelson, and I have my new friend, Victor Straw, on the program today. Victor, thanks for showing up and hanging out with me.
Caleb, I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm honored to be here, buddy.
The honor is mine. I feel really privileged. Like this is just this is just fun. I know we were talking about our last conversation. I was like, I think every coach should have a podcast just because it's like selfishly, you're just hanging out with people that I got stuff to share. Selfishly, you also get to learn for free because you're also just like tell me your stories. I was actually walking through a park this morning. Walking through the park this morning, I just made friends with this older gentleman. I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and he's just telling me life stories. I'm like, this is gold. How many people don't just talk to people and not realize like there is wisdom to be dropped in your skull outside, like in the real world right now? So I don't even know where I was going with my thought there, but
No, totally. I agree with you too, Caleb. It's like I think we're getting away from that a little bit. Maybe we're coming back. I think to realize through COVID, we probably realized the importance of community and needing each other and, having an interaction with another human being. Maybe we took it for granted up until COVID, but now I hope we're going back to that more and more.
yeah, I agree. I think we were starved of the human connection. And sometimes it takes that stripping away to say, you know what? There was something there. Maybe I shouldn't take that thing for granted. So yeah, that's a very good point. I do think we're in that place where we're starting to come back to that. Anywho, what I do like to start all my episodes with is why I appreciate my guests. And I do this because I believe we need to start telling each other why we appreciate each other and why we love each other. Crazy for me to say it, but I believe that's also a good first step in the direction of this whole thing called world peace, or in my case, the vision is world inner peace. We got to know why we love each other. And to that effect, we were just hopping on right now before this. You and I have some very interesting similarities in our stories. And even just like at the end of it, you're like, hey, dude, like we kind of have similar this and that. I love the abundance mindset that both of us kind of walked into that conversation with, even just the curiosity. Like, I don't care. I care that people get the help. And you clearly are somebody who wants to help and serve and love on people and make sure that we make the world a better place. We need more people like that. So many people get so greedy or worried about this and that. And I was just like, come on, let's go help some people, damn it. Let's make this a little easier for the next generation to grow and to prosper. We're just passing here through a few minutes. So like I really appreciate about that element of the conversation is it showed your true character, a man of substance. I really highly value that, especially at this point in my life. So thank you for being you, my friend.
I love that, Caleb. And again, it's I think why you and I connected right away. It's other than probably a few years between us, it sounds like or it seems like we're cut out of the same cloth, have the same maybe heart to serve others, to help others, to spread the good word, to, as such a word like peace, like you mentioned. I mean, obviously it's world peace. Is that going to ever come? Probably, maybe not, but we can't ever stop striving. We always have to have that, whether it's, I call it, I heard this from Jim Rohn, this is, he's a personal development guru. He's passed on, but he always used to say, scatter sunshine. I tell my daughters that scatter sunshine, go out and be a light today, whatever that is, a smile, give one of your friends having a hard day, give her a hug or give him a hug. I mean, just whatever that is, as small or as little as that is, or as big as that is, if we all have that same mindset every day, you talking to this older gentleman in the park, he probably went home blessed and touched because he was talking to you and you obviously vice versa. So if we can all do that little scattering sunshine, have that little ripple effect, my gosh, think of the what the impact we can make in this world, one person at a time.
You got me fired up right now. I was already excited about this conversation, but that right there, like,
Let's
let's
go.
go. All right. Let's do this before we dive into too many. We're going to probably go like 9 different directions of this conversation, but
Probably.
yeah, which I like. You know yourself better than I. So, Victor, please share who you.
Um, I always like to say, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version here is I'm from a dairy farm in Wisconsin, raised on a dairy farm. So I learned the value of hard work at such a young age and learned how to, get up, milk the cows, do chores before school, go to school. I was in sports, so I was involved after school, get home, do chores, go to bed, and then just get up and do the same thing the next day, the next day, the next day. No, there's no day off, there's no weekends off, nothing like that. So I learned hard work, and it's probably one of my, maybe my better characteristics that has helped me and served me well through the years. After high school, I went into the Marine Corps. I served in the United States Marine Corps, served in the Persian Gulf War in 1991. So I'm a Gulf War vet. And probably a lot of what I learned on the farm, a lot of what I learned in the Marine Corps sort of built who I am today. I have a degree in health and human performance and a minor in business. I wanted to own my own health club. Since then, I've owned three of them. I owned a personal training studio, a full multifaceted, multi-purpose gym, and then I lost that in a bankruptcy. And then now, most recently, I own a boot camp training facility where I have a community. It's called the Victory Community, where we do a lot of in-group or boot camp type training workouts. And then I do some stuff online. Since COVID hit, I do more of a hybrid, I guess you could call it, where I do coaching and consulting. I'm a health coach online. I'm a fitness professional or personal trainer in person. So I do a little bit of both these days, gravitating out of the in-person and taking everything online here very shortly. But like you started with, Caleb, I'm here to help. I want people to grow in their health, in their wellness, in their fitness. I believe it's the most underutilized drug out there. If we go for a walk outside for 30 minutes a day, we always come back feeling a little better, a little maybe less fog in the head, a little more clear in our thinking. We might have, solved a couple problems that we're, vacillating around with. Anytime we finish a workout, we always feel, $1 million better than when we maybe started or began the workout. So I'm a big advocate of using fitness to elevate your success, whether you want to create good habits just for being physically fit, mentally fit, psychologically fit, emotionally fit, plus also to accelerate your professional life as well. So typically, if you run a pretty good fitness routine, wellness routine, you have a good nutrition regimen that you stick to, these tend to bleed over into our professional life, and we run our businesses a little bit more efficiently. We typically, for the most part, make a little bit more money. We have better relationships. We have more peace at home. We have better, spend more time with our kids. Not saying this is exactly how it goes, but typically, if you can invest in one of these, and I just love fitness because it's, again, you start doing good in that arena, that can slowly bleed into other areas of our life and then make them more prosperous, more fruitful as well.
I especially love what you're talking about there at the end, how one area, the return on the investment is so much farther beyond just looking better naked. And the irony behind that is so many people struggle to invest in that primarily. I think it's so bizarre. The act of investing in their self care, their physical health and well being is almost like the afterthought. Like, I got to pay for the kids, I got to pay for the business thing, da, 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 da. Not realizing, much to what you're saying, by making that investment in yourself, the trickle down effects on your family, your personal life, your professional life, it it will make you more money to afford you more things, to do the things with your family, and to feel good when you do those experiences. So we don't have
And
enough people saying that, but it's
yeah,
great.
exactly, Caleb. And I think one of the things, and this was a major paradigm shift in my thinking years ago. I mean, even though I've been in the industry, this would be 27 years I've been in fitness. And, I used to think, okay, if you don't want to hire me as your trainer, you don't want to work with me, I get it. You have bills to pay, you want to take care of your kids or your spouse. I get it. And I used to sort of, okay, that's cool, that's cool. Because we would put ourselves on the back shelf and we're like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to hire a personal trainer or a fitness pro to help me, that's so selfish. But now I want you to think of it this way, or maybe your audience could think of it a little bit differently. Like, what if I invest in me and I become the best product of me? Become the best Victor I can be, the best Caleb I can be. Now think of my spouse is going to benefit from that. My kids are going to benefit from that. My community is going to benefit from that. because I can operate at a higher level. I can serve those that I believe that are in our sphere of influence that we should serve and that we should love and that we should help and assist anytime that we can. So if I am stronger mind, stronger soul, stronger heart, stronger physically, I can now serve those in my sphere, my community at such a higher level. And then hopefully they can turn around and do the same, whether it's not reciprocated right back to me, but to their people, their others in their community, and just keep doing that. And again, talk about having that ripple effect, but thinking that instead of me just, I want to, look in the mirror and look great, which is fine. That's awesome. I mean, we all, there's part of that I think that's outstanding. It's a motivator. But now if I can be the best version of me through a strong, healthy, fit me, how can I benefit and serve more people that are around me? That's where I think it really matters, or really there's an underlying tone to it that I think we don't want to lose by just being vain and say, I look good in the mirror, but you know what? Hey, if I'm the best version of me, I can help so many more people.
Well, I appreciate what you bring up there, especially the piece at the end. I know early in my career, the I didn't necessarily speak to all the benefits of the other stuff, but you start to it becomes obvious. Like I'm sure you saw the same thing. That if somebody gave me a year at least, I do not remember a single person who within a year didn't have some personal breakthrough in relationships or in their business or professional life. I can't think of a single person who did not either get a raise, have a
Yeah.
new person come into their life, get married, get engaged, like whatever the thing is, every single time. It always happened. But I think the different thing you just brought out there, which I know I struggle with, I'd like to for you to elaborate a little more on as well. Earlier on in my career, I didn't know how to speak to that internal element as well. Let's call it the mindset. Let's call it that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I know, looking back, there was a moment where they would reach a plateau because I didn't know how to be like beyond just the working out and the eating a certain way, blah blah blah. Yeah, they could look good in the mirror, but how did I really enrich that internal thing by happenstance? Yeah, some of the just the basic principles of showing up, moving more, working out, being consistent, like those principles and kind of consistent. Yeah, barking for it, Ty. There he is. I should have said Ty's going to make some appearance at this point in the podcast. Those things lead to those other things, but to more deeply facilitate that internal, intrinsic, let's call it spiritual relationship to really shift your identity. Didn't really know how to do that. What? Tell me a little bit about some of the ways you started to shift, or if you did, or how you approach those things over time. Because just the surface clearly doesn't solve the whole problem. I'd love to hear a little bit of your take on some of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I love that question, Caleb. And one of the things I use a lot nowadays in my teaching and training is the word resiliency. And I feel like someone they might hire me, okay, Victor, I want to lose 60 pounds, and that's our goal and that's awesome. And we've got something to shoot for, and we make benchmarks and measurements along the way to get there. But one of the biggest things that I see people is they build this resiliency muscle. And I love that because, okay, if I can lose 60 pounds, I can also kick a sugar habit. I can start creating better habits to drink more water, to eat the protein, eat a salad a day. Also, when things go south, whether it's in a relationship or I'm struggling professionally, I can endure now a little bit longer, maybe more than I have in the past because I am used to running my body through the ringer, and we call it embracing the suck, just going down this pathway that's not so pleasant. That's hard. There's obstacles along the way, whether it's, running a mile or 2 miles or whatever, or lifting a weight, holding a plank for 2 minutes, whatever it is. We are building a physical strength, stamina, and endurance, but also building a resiliency muscle mentally, and then a lot of heart or grit or gut determination. One of my, I have one of my name of my program is called the secret weapon, and the P stands for process. And I always tell people, trust the process, trust the process. We're building these inside you, even though today's tough and it's hard, but just we're building this and we're doing it one little block, one little brick at a time, one layer this week, and then a layer next week, and then a layer the week after that. And you're right, Caleb, when people get through the program or through the workout, no one's saying that, oh my gosh, that sucked, or I wish I didn't do that, or, wait a minute, now I'm having positive things happen over here professionally, or my relationship with a family member is improving because, again, I've just grown physically. I've built this resiliency muscle. Now I'm stronger in so many areas, even from an emotional standpoint. Some things that used to get me down emotionally, I can handle them better today because now I am physically stronger, I'm mentally stronger, and I can go forth and go at it. No, I'm not saying we can't, don't ever want to address these things that need addressing, but the benefit, fitness being that gateway drug, being opens the doors to a greater maybe ability to endure and to persevere. It just builds so much more than, yep, I want to look in the mirror and say, I like what I see, but I also know that, man, I'm stronger mentally, psychologically, emotionally, just because of all this. So there's so many benefits that, you know, that tie into pursuing a fit and a high little state of wellness lifestyle than just the physical. And the physical alone is awesome. I mean, it's great. I mean, again, we have stronger heart, obviously lower cholesterol, better blood pressure, all those good physical attributes. But man, all the benefits that we get from a intangible state are, I mean, just monstrous and huge. If I can be a better husband, a better father, a better business owner, hey, that's all great, and that comes out in the wash too.
Well, yeah, I think secondarily to what you're saying is, especially you brought up the very practical physiological benefits. Oh, my heart rate's better, my muscle tone, I'm strong enough to do certain things, my circulation's better. People forget, like mindset is everything. Well, your brain is housed within the physical body. So
Yeah.
if that ecosystem, how did I hear this once? I think you'd like this one. I can't remember. I'm really upset I can't remember where I got it from, but it's probably for some podcast. But it was like when people look at a tree and they see it wilting or it's dying or whatever, it was like you don't just chop down the tree. How about you go check the soil first? Because it's probably the soil that's not being nourished appropriately. Maybe that's the reason why the leaves are not as colorful and robust or whatever the thing is. Go check
Right.
the soil. So if your mind is all all a flurry, how about you go check the ecosystem in which it's residing and take care of that first before how most of the common culture is nowadays, like go to the doctor is going to put you on a bunch of pills. Not to say that there's not a time and place for that, but how about you take a peek first at, well, are they doing the fundamental baseline things to just nurture their physical health? Because if those things aren't taken care of, you're just slapping a new band-aid on a thing. And in fact, you tell them, Ty, they might be masking the actual problem. They could have done a lot of things before they did that, but I'm sure you and I both align on this one. So many people just want to just appease and say, here's the quick,
Yeah.
pill, the thing of the day, to just
Yep.
put a band-aid on the thing.
Yeah, see, and that's another great point too. And what I do with my clients is I talk about their environment, and it's like, okay, what surrounding you is getting inside you. I mean, we do something as simple as, okay, you have to write down everything from a music standpoint that you listen to in the next week. So I want to know the type of music they listen to, the type of podcasts they listen to. I mean, I want to, if they can tell me, okay, these are my top 5 bands, or this is my top 5 podcasts, whatever, and I listen to this, and I can tell you right away, the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. So if I'm flooding my mind with all this negativity, let's say, through the music I listen to, or like I love country music. I listen to a lot of country music. Sometimes if I listen to too much country music, I can tell some of the songs, gosh, I can get, because I battle with depression anyways, I can sort of get pretty, depressed or sad or loneliness feeling, depending on what type of country I'm listening to, pretty quickly. So I'm like, all right, I got to change this. I got to go in a different direction with this. So, and I know that on a regular basis, but then when I work with a client about that, okay, what are we really putting in our head? Because that's going to start to manifest or walk its way out through our actions, and either through our results or through our lack of results, because we have all this negativity and downtroddenness, and we're not getting where we need to get to. So we'll do a little, cleaning out of the music, and let's put in there stuff that speaks to us, that's going to lift us up, that's going to create this positive mindset that we can have an overcoming mentality. And then if it is, we have to, you know, you and I both know it's like sometimes you got to clean out the pantry, you got to clean out the refrigerator, you got to get rid of the junk just out of the house and just do a cleansing, because you don't want it to be there distracting you or pulling you off course. And it's the same thing with the music we listen to, the podcast, I mean, heck, it could be, the friends we hang out with, or, all of the acquaintances and influences we have around us, the books we read or the books we don't read. So just taking a little bit of a check of our environment can be absolutely huge and freeing for many of us to sort of let go of some of the shackles and to move forward and maybe start seeing some goals and more, accomplishments that we probably haven't seen in a while, because those things have been that negative or depressed state in our mind has been just pulling us down, and we just keep spinning, spinning, spinning. So if we can clean out the environment, clean the pantry, clean the fridge, clean the music, whatever it is, get it cleaned out and start fresh, start anew, and start winning again.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the music example was great. It's not the first thing that came to mind, but it's so obvious. And you and I were talking about my wife that is pregnant right now. And the funny thing is, her and I were talking about what music we play, and thinking about that when our kid comes around, even when they're just a little bitty thing. I fully believe that that sound, that energy that you're putting around them is deeply influencing their psyche, right? Especially when they're the youngest. Like, they're just a sponge, they're going to soak up whatever. Of course, she's like, I'm going to go bring back my 90s hip hop. She was listening to some garbage on the radio yesterday. I'm like, what are you doing? I liked some of her 90s hip hop stuff and this and that, but I know I'm very conscious of the music I listen to. It's got to be uplifting. There's a certain tonality. I want there to be like just little things of that nature, because it matters. It matters, especially when it's such a unconscious consumption. Everybody always has something going all the time. They're not even mindful of it. So I love your exercise there of just doing a checklist. What is the music you're listening to? Maybe take a look and read the lyrics.
Yeah.
Are those philosophies that you align with? That is, I never thought about doing a music audit. I do a time audit, but so how many people are just not aware of what they're unconsciously consuming all the time? What a brilliant! I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that idea. I've never thought of
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
please do, Caleb. It's amazing. And everybody's like, I mean, oh yeah, I listen to pretty good stuff. And again, I do too, but there's times where I think we drift a little bit. And I actually think we drift in a lot of things where, 90% of the time I'm doing okay, but then I'm drifting, 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 drifting. And then you realize those little drifting moments that's what's stopping you from really achieving that goal that you want to achieve. So if we can pull that back again, I'm not saying it's because that's still an area that too. Again, I like country, but I know me long enough. If I listen to too much of it, it'll start pulling me down. And then my mindset is a little bit more lower key. And it's like, gosh, I feel like I'm getting negative. Well, okay, here you go, Victor. Look in the mirror. Look what you're doing. You're not really been feeling yourself from a positive standpoint or an encouraging standpoint. So I just got to tap the brakes and make some changes.
I love that. I love that, especially since you've brought a lot of like just concepts of leadership into the forefront of the ripple effects of your behaviors. Where that leads me to is like, we've had some analogs in terms of our entrepreneurial journeys. I'd love to hear just a little bit about your entrepreneurial. You kind of brought up a little bit, like I've had these couple things, but tell me a little about some of the inspiration. You can even talk about a little bit going from the military. I want to hear that path, what inspired what, and of course, I always love hearing like the lessons along the way. So just take us on that journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for asking, Caleb. This will be what my as you ask that, my mind goes to, I've had a lot of failures in my life. I've had a lot of mistakes that I made. I've done a lot of things the wrong way. I'm not opposed to taking risks. So I used to think, okay, I'm taking a calculated risk, but then I would learn things the hard way. And like, okay, I shouldn't have did that. But I always, learn the hard way, pay for it the hard way. One of the things that when I got out of college, I got my degree and I went to work for a big box gym for 6.5 years. I did really well. I was a personal trainer there, and then I was a assistant manager. And after a while, I remember towards the end of that time in my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm making this company way too much money. I feel like I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I was going to have my own businesses, my own gyms anyway. So I'm like, it's time for me to go. I've learned a lot now. It's time for me to jump ship and go. So I jumped ship. I had success right away in my first gym. I sold that one for a nice profit to one of my trainers that worked for me. And then I got cocky. Then I got a little bit too like, hey, I got this thing figured out. And again, right there, that should have been writing on the wall that just hold on, hold on. But what I did is I ended up getting two business partners. We ended up raising about $3 million. We opened this big, huge, multi-million-dollar facility. And in the community that we had this in, it was sort of people called it the Taj Mahal Health Club. Everything was nice. I mean, we had granite countertops, we had beautiful cherry oak wood lockers that had two different levels on them. I had, mirrors all over the place, in a ridiculous, I don't know, $30,000-$40,000 sound system. Everything I wanted to be, this has got to be the best of the best. And starting out or having my second business was the stupidest thing I've ever done. I ordered this whole line of equipment, total body, machinery, and had ostrich skin as the upholstered. I mean, Caleb, it was dumb. It was like, I look back, I'm like, I'm embarrassed to even say this, but I mean, it was just, but I wanted to be known as the best of the best. And I was for the first couple of years, like, oh my gosh, they're pulling it off. They're doing it. We needed 60K a month just to keep the doors open and the lights on and pay all the bills. We were doing that for a little bit. I opened in '06, and if you remember, your listeners remember, at the end of '08, the recession hit. So we started to feel the pain overnight. We hung on till June 30th of 2009, and I got shut down. They kicked me out because I couldn't make rent. It was the beginning of the end for me. I went through a bankruptcy, went through a divorce. I lost everything. And leading up to that point, I tried to leverage as much as I could financially to keep the doors open, refinance my house. I tied everything I could to it personally to get, a little personal loan here or there, whether it was 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. I was over leveraged. I was just, it was out of hand. And it was probably looking back, it was a blessing in disguise that they didn't let me keep going, or I couldn't afford anything to keep going. So I went through bankruptcy, and then I battled depression, and I was so low that I just wanted my life to be over. And I remember one day sitting on the deck, and I'm a hunter, and I was sitting out on the deck. We lived out in the country at the time, and I had my deer rifle sitting on my lap, and I was gonna end it. I was gonna be, this is it. This is over. This is just too much. I mean, the bankruptcy is one, and then my wife, filing for a divorce was two, and then everything that's tied to the gym, I'm losing it. I got, an SUV repossessed. I was in and out of court to try to keep, I drive an old F-150 truck at the time. I was just trying to keep that because that's all I had for wheels. I ended up sleeping some nights in that thing. I mean, it was just, terrible, low point in my life. But then I remember, well, first of all, I believe God intervened, and my brother-in-law at the time called me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" My brother-in-law never called me before this point, never called me since. He just out of the blue called me, and it's sort of like light bulb goes on. I'm like, why is he calling me? And then we talked for a minute. I didn't tell him that I'm holding a rifle in my hand, contemplating suicide. But then we hung up, and I'm just sort of contemplating that. And I remember in about 5, 10 minutes, my daughters are going to come running through that door, and I don't want them to see their dad like this. And it was sort of a major turn of events in my mind that, okay, I need to get some help. I need to seek professional guidance to get through this dark season of my life. It's not the end of the world. Other people have got divorced and made it. Other people went through a bankruptcy and made it. People can get through this. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be one day at a time, one step at a time. So, make a long story short, I basically opened up another business 90 days later, started making money again, started paying off some of my debt, my debt. It was a long process. It was tough. It wasn't easy. I got some professional help, counseling. I got some on medication to help me through my depression and just help me through this low time in my life. But what I've learned is you can't do it alone. You need others. You need others that have walked in front of you, or that have been through there before, that you can lock arms with, and they can help guide you through this. We need each other. That's why I'm a big believer on community, having other people in your corner, whether it's a coach, a mentor, or people just to be your cheerleaders along the way and say, hey, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm proud of you. And we do need each other. And just to keep fighting each and every day. And, there's no matter where we're at in life, we're still going to go through some battles and go through some storms and go through some setbacks. I think when we go through the failures in life, we learn the most. We tend to make some major changes in our life where we not only grow personally, but we also can turn around and we typically help those around us more, maybe because we are more compassionate, we can be more empathetic because, we just went through our hell, or, we just climbed out of the pit ourselves. So looking back in those times of my life where I was going through a bankruptcy and a divorce and depression, and just everything was like, what's the point? I've lost my purpose. No, I haven't lost my purpose. Yeah, I'm going through hell, but I can make it. I just got to keep going and keep fighting, because I believe God has a purpose and a calling for each one of us, but we just got to keep seeking him and keep moving forward, and trying to um, you know, make a difference every day in someone's life. Scatter that sunshine, be the light for somebody. Because there's days where someone's going to be the light for us and they may not realize it, but I'm like, when that person reached out to me, my brother-in-law, it's like, oh my gosh, he didn't know this till, actually, it's funny, this happened, what, 11, 12 years ago. I told him a couple of years ago this, and he was like, he couldn't believe it. Um so having those in our life to help us along the way, but also being that light, that strength for others too. I think that's what we're called to do. But when we go through those things, those tough times, I mean, since then, it's like I've grown my boot camp business to be pretty successful. Now I'm in the online world. I hope to make a bigger splash in the online world in more people's lives through what I do, with my 12-week program this way. So my purpose isn't over yet. My life isn't over yet. I believe God still has more for me, and I'm supposed to make a difference in somebody's life today, or somebody's, help them or cheerlead them along the way, and just be a raving fan for them. So it's the tough stuff that we go through. We don't want to go through. None of us want to go through. Oh my gosh, I want to walk through that valley again. No, we never say that, but that's when we learn. That's when we grow. I mean, even if I look back my days in the military, it's like, those hard times, those nights in a foxhole where you think you're going to almost freeze to death, you grow this resilient mindset, this extra grit that I can make it, that I can do this, that I can become greater. And, we go through that pain for a purpose. And as long as we use it to apply our lives to become better and to help other people, that even that trial, it served its purpose. So long as we don't want to keep having to do that same trial again and again and again. As long as we learn our lesson. But I feel like I might be a slow learner. I've had to learn the hard way a few times, but just keeping our head in the game and keep growing is really, really what it's about.
Really appreciate your vulnerability on that. That's to like face those dark moments and then come through it, and being and wanting to use that inspiration to help others through those dark moments is so. I think there's like no more profound act of love than that. And it all, in an interesting way, it also comes from an act of self love. Like, I'm worth it enough to keep going. And what you're speaking about there, the power of community. It's interesting how sometimes we need initially just that one person, that one believer, to say, "Hey, how you doing?" I think so many people discount "How you doing," or
Yeah.
then thinking about, "Wow, I am responsible for." And you said your daughters. You don't want them to walk in and see that, and thinking about the long term impacts of that. As much as sometimes the weight of responsibility can feel crippling, it also, in the same breath, can be, it often is what it makes you empowering, because you understand that it's not just about you. It is about this deeper connection. So I really really appreciated that element of your share there. That's in such a dark moment to be able to see that light and that hope and that love and be willing to keep going just for like not only just yourself but for more than yourself and to face those things is takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah, thanks,
Um,
Caleb. Just one thing I want to add to that too is like, and we all matter. We all matter. It's like if I think, oh my gosh, you know what? I don't know why, but Caleb's on my mind. I should shoot him a text and say, hey, bud, hope you're doing good, or whatever. You've been on my mind, or I'm praying for you. I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think too many times we think, I'll do it later. And then we don't, then later comes and we don't do it. And maybe Caleb really needed to hear from me, at that moment of that time or that day, you know, and we don't know. I don't think we'll know a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, until we get to the other side and we get to heaven and we see, hey, because you did this and this and this and this, you really helped out this person, this person, this person, this person. But that little gesture, that little thing, the phone call, the text, the whatever it is, it really does matter. And, I think, I've got three daughters, and I think I see them, two are in college, one's in high school still. I see them struggle on a mental health plane that I don't think I did. We all have our own challenges every generation, but it just seems that the stress is there more prevalent or in a more powerful way. But just to give, I try to, every time my daughters leave the house, give them a hug and a squeeze and just say I love you. And that little thing, whether it's a friend, a peer, a colleague, whatever it is, hey, how you doing today? Is there anything I can do for you today? Are you okay? And maybe eight, 9 times out of 10, it's, yeah, I'm fine, good, no big deal. But I think more often than not, it's like, I could use some help today, or I need you today, or I could use a prayer today, or you know what? Thanks for asking. Here's what's going on in my personal life, or here's where I'm struggling with today. I just really think we need that. And I think we need to get back to that maybe a little bit more than we have in the last few years.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That the random act of kindness or that simple gesture, it it doesn't feel like it's a lot, but it could be the one thing. I love that you're saying that right now because you really don't know when it just might be that person simply needed to be acknowledged as a human being that mattered in the world for that moment, and it
Yeah,
could just be saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
exactly.
Especially in the this day and age, I'm sure you found this in the online space. Most of the times, I'm like, "Hey, like, at a networking or whatever you want to call it, hey, tell me about you as a human being," and people are just like, you start to realize how few people are genuinely asked about how you doing, who are you, tell me a little bit, like tell me about you as a person, not just what category do you fall into today, what what line item in my Rolodex are you just going to fall into. No, tell me, like, how's the kids, what's going on, what are some of your passion projects, what is purpose to you, what is spirituality. All these things that make up the fabric of a human being are just fucking cast aside. And and all I've learned over the past few years, especially going to the pandemic, through the pandemic, all that, is people are profoundly lonely, and the bar for human decency is incredibly low. And we can look at those one or two ways, like, wow, how sad and depressing, or wow, something so small could be so meaningful if I continued. You tell them, Ty. If I just continue to show up with genuine kindness and curiosity, the world might open up for you in ways that you had never, ever knew. Not least of which, just being a good human being is a good thing. It just makes you feel good. I mean, God forbid, I'm just nice to people. Oh, oh, what a terrible thing to do.
But we've gotten away from that. Caleb, you're absolutely right. I mean, being kind. And we all know it, we say it, but really being kind, being not judgmental, being kind, just, hey, you know what? How can I help you? Extending that gesture of kindness, of a smile, of, a handshake, whatever that is, it can go a long way. And I think being kind can really really speak volumes into someone's life, especially when they're super low and we have no idea that they needed that, but they might needed that, that attaboy, attagirl, that pat on the back from us right at that time. And that could make all the difference in their life.
I love that. I wanted to take a step back into a couple of things. I think you highlighted two great, powerful things in, I think, many people's story. I can know it definitely resonated with me. I think we've kind of touched a little bit. Of course, we can always dive in more about. I think there's a lot of loneliness in entrepreneurship, but
Yeah.
also you brought up the ego element and what it led to. I'd like to explore that a little bit because I was hearing some of my stuff in there and what I thought success needed to be, or how I, for me, it was a lot about approval, but I want to hear a little bit about like when you decided to go down that path because you acknowledge it was like a lot of ego there. Can you explore that a little bit for everybody?
Yeah, you bet, Caleb. It's, so after I always used to pride myself on, okay, I'm such a hard worker. And again, nothing wrong with hard work. Hard work's great. I think it is a great asset, a great character positive to have. But if I was going to get to a certain level, I'm going to do it myself. I'll make it happen. One of the things when I worked for the big box gym, it was like I wanted to be top one, two, three, for sure, top five sales producer every month. And I was for a while. And that, drove me, it motivated me. But then I always felt, okay, if it's going to happen, it's up to me. I'm going to do it. So I took that same mindset and then did it with my personal training studio. And then I had the success there. But without, I don't want to say I had up to this point. I mean, I had my share of failures. They were more little ones. But then I just got way out, if you're a skier, we call it getting over your skis, getting out a little bit too far where, oh my, you can see the fall coming. And because I had success at this level, then I had little success at this level. Now I'm going up to play with the big boys. And I think if I can do it down here, I can do it up here in my mind. And, financially, raising money to do a multi-million facility was a reach for me. I mean, I wasn't a millionaire. I was, my two investors were pretty well off. And then with what I put in, we made it. But it was like, I wish I would have had developed some more skills at where I was. Looking back, it's like I didn't need my ego and my cockiness to run rampant like it did, but I let it because I had success down here. Looking now at my younger self, there is some skills that I needed to develop that didn't develop at all. I was good in sales, but I wasn't good at running a business. I thought I was because again, I could operate down here. Well, pretty much to be honest with you, anybody that had half a brain could operate down here, but I thought I was something special. So I'd take this big jump up here. And that's when I fell hard. Looking back, the recession was tough. And, I don't know if we could have weathered the storm or not, but if I would have had a few different skills as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I don't think the fall would have been as hard. I wouldn't have leveraged myself the way I leveraged it. I wouldn't have put me and my family under that duress that I did. I would have made smarter partnerships and business decisions. I think we could have saw the storm before it was coming a little bit, that we could have, hedged our bets a little bit and made some different decisions. Again, I didn't need granite countertops and ostrich um workout equipment, I mean, just again, stupidity. I could have opened up this for, I don't know, 500,000, let alone why do we have to do a $3 million whole brand new, we bought this mini golf course and we knocked down the original building. We built this huge Taj Mahal. I mean, just, again, the more I think about it, just stupid. But we could have started small and made it instead of doing it. Well, let's do it. We got the money. Let's pour it into it. Let's make this the best of the best. Um, so looking back, there's a lot of things I would have done different knowing what I know now. And it's humbling. It's tough to, it ain't tough to say it, but it's tough to go there in my mind because that was a very, very dark point in my life. But again, these are lessons that I wish, somebody would have, grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me and say, hey, Victor, just, well, you need to think about this here. Wait a minute here. I know you've had success and you're good at what you do, but let's be smart about this. Let's apply a little bit of wisdom, But again, I probably wouldn't have learned lessons that I've learned if I did not go through that turmoil and that stuff. So, letting my cockiness and ego get in the way was, you know, a major fall for me, a major setback in my life. And then I had to, you got to pick up the pieces too. And then now it's like, it took me years to pay off a lot of the debt. And I had IRS, we were, way behind on taxes and everything. I mean, it was just an ugly mess, one thing after another. So I learned that the hard way. But now in my business today, oh my gosh, I'm so cautious, almost maybe too much, because now I want to make sure, okay, I got money in this account for this. I'm not going to buy this until I know I can afford this. I'm going to make sure, okay, my taxes are paid for, for this many months ahead. We've got, but again, that before it was like I didn't care. But now it's like, all right, I really want to be a smart, wise businessman. I want to really be a light in my community and help those around me. And I'm not going to blow it again. I don't want to blow it again, anyways. I still take risks, but I probably take more calculated risk and pray about it more than I ever have in the past, because I would just like, let's jump, let's go for it. So yeah, I mean, you learn the lesson along the way. Not that it's pretty, not that it's fun, but because I've learned lessons the hard way. Now, um, I think that I've applied those in my life. And they say, if you really want to have success, fail often, fail forward, fail a lot. And I feel like I've got so many failures in my life, personally and professionally, that now I'm trying to be very cautious and trying to do things the right way, where I can minimize the amount of failures I have. And again, not to say that I don't have challenges, because I sure do. And it seems like that never stops. That never stops, whether it's personally or professionally. We have these certain challenges that we go through, but because I've had these challenges over here, I'm more resilient today to help me, combat these, or grow in these areas that I still need to grow in, because I've already been through hell. I've already been in the pit. So I can take those lessons and apply them to what I'm going through now.
The thing that I really appreciate that. The thing that came to mind as you were sharing all that is the question of of defining what is success. I think that when we start chasing the big, shiny, as you said, the Taj Mahal of fitness centers or wellness centers, whatever you want to call it, I look back and everything you just said there, like, I know what that feels like. Because sure, it looks pretty and it's all fun and games. What you said, ostrich feathers and all that kind of wildness. The hard part is like, is that for the client or is that for us and
Wow.
for the ego to feed that? And I think about my own space, my second one, and it's like you don't know what you don't know, but you think that success is going to be, well, I have the biggest, baddest game in town, as opposed to, well, success is not so much if you're really client centric. Well, what I don't know who's ringing the doorbell right now, but I'm a popular guy today. Apparently, between my dog and the doorbell going, we're having a good old time. Um, they ring it again. I'll have to pause for a second. The like ultimately what we're looking at here is like, well, what's enough? And if we really care about the client, you realize they actually don't, especially everything we're talking there. If you just remember that most people don't feel acknowledged, they don't feel valued, they are knocking. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to put pause. Wait for it, everybody. We'll be back. And we're back. That was fun. My neighbor, her car died, and she's like, "Do you have a portable jump box?" I'm sorry, I don't. Like,
Oh
I feel
no.
really bad right now. I wish I could really help her, but go figure. Something that right now, like success
Right.
right now is I feel bad because I don't have the portable jump box.
Oh no.
Something so simple as that, and you and I both know fitness is made way too damn complicated.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Think I need some elaborate, crazy workout routine and this and that and all this. I say this knowing I learned the hard way, and I got in the best shape of my life in my living room with like one set of dumbbells in like a
Yeah.
4x6 space and walking. Crazy to think just doing the basics,
Yep.
not putting myself through a brick wall, not numbing myself out on exercise, just building a better relationship with food and myself and taking care of my body more consistently got me the result. Ironically, doing a hell of a lot less with clients makes them a lot happier, and they're willing to pay more for a lot less, at least
Yep.
on paper, internally, if we focus on that. But it's strange when we think I mean, of course, I'd be curious to get your take on this because I know for myself, like I thought I needed all this stuff. Well, what that came with was a big overhead, which many times challenge. I I think I definitely had to compromise some of the way I wanted to do things because I had to make this overhead. So was I doing when I really look back? Was I really doing things for the betterment of the client? Was it for their best interest or was it for my own interest? Shaded with like how do I take care of them at the same time? But now you're splitting intentions, and that leads to not necessarily all a better result in the end. So I think, like I said before, the question coming up of what is success, what is enough, is such a hard question to answer, especially well, it gets a hell of a lot easier after you go through one of those types of experiences where things don't work out and you have this massive overhead to deal with.
Right.
You know, success feels a lot like it's very humble. It's very simple. It's very like I don't want a lot of craziness. I want a couple of good people, make enough to take care of my family, and just be at peace. And close enough, good, really high quality people are usually like, I actually don't want any more of that. I don't need more complicated than that because it's only gonna stress me out. I don't know if any resident like I had my own like
Well,
internal flashback
no,
on all that.
well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for my clients? And it's like when I had the big gym, it's like, it was a fine line. I mean, I'm doing this for me because I want to be known as the best, the new biggest ticket in town. But then I also want my clients to like, oh my gosh, I go to that new gym. It's got, ostrich skin upholstery on the seated chest press, and it's got all these nice bells and whistles. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, not that, I mean, it would have been fine to do that, but I did it when I shouldn't have did it. I did it too soon. But I do think it's like, okay, our clients really, they hire us as the professional to get them to their goal, to get them, what they need. And 9 times out of 10, they don't need all the bells and whistles and all the complicated program because you're absolutely right, Caleb. I mean, we can just simplify it, break it down to this. Here's what we need now, and we could break it up in phases. And here's what you need week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And it may not be, you don't need a big gym membership and you got to do all this and do this and do this and do, 17 different things in 1 week. I mean, it can be a simple thing day 1, a simple thing day 2, a simple thing. I mean, one of the biggest pillars that I preach about this, preach about, but it's so simple. And I love that it's so simple. It's drink your water, drink your water. I mean, I advocate, you know, 100 ounces a day of water, some maybe a little more, some a little less, but pretty much 100 is the number. And that's what I do with my clients. And I always go back to that first, like, yeah, Victor, I know how much water I know. Well, tell me, Jill, how much water did you drink? Well, Monday I only got 60. Tuesday I got 65. I'm like, okay, forget the other 4 things right now. All I want you to do for the next 7 days is you got to get 100 ounces of water. And typically, Caleb, 9 times out of 10, they do that for 1 week in a row. Next week they get on the scale. It's like, yeah, Victor, I'm down 3 pounds. I did it. And it's so simple. It's so simple, but that's the beautiful thing. Or get out and walk 30 minutes a day. That's all you got to do today. It's all you got to do. Walk 30 minutes a day. I don't care if it's 5 a.m., noon, 5 p.m., or whatever, but you got to get out and go for a walk. And there's those little things, we don't have to, nothing against CrossFit or anything, but, do the complicated CrossFit workout or go do a boot camp workout here, and then I got to take yoga over here, and then I got to go to a Pilates class over here. I mean, if you want to do that, sure, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes if we just do the simple things, but we're consistent, we do it the right way, we drink our water, I mean, again, none of this is rocket science. It's just hard to do. It's hard to consistently do over time. Eat a salad a day, eating, the right and clean, good protein. I think that's what really matters. And it's like, as long as we're doing, you and I and the rest of us that are professionals in this industry, if we're doing it to serve our clients, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, giving them the niceties, I guess, or things like this, things like that, whatever that is. But as long as we're doing it for them and we serve them and we're sort of meeting them where they're at and they can help them, assist them along the road to get to their goals as fast as possible. That's what I think we as the professional need to really do that. We need to empathize with our clients and say, okay, where are you at? This is where you're at. I'm going to try to take you on this pathway. And if they're in agreement with that, or, we got to listen to them, see if it's okay with them. But, less about us, more about them. And if we serve them, we're both going to arrive at that podium that finish line position, and we're all going to be happy.
What do you think is, or what have you noticed through your conversation with your clients? What's the underlying reason why they feel the need to jump around to all these different things? Why do they feel the need to make things more complicated?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say because our culture, our society, I don't want to blame everything on social media, but I think it's an easy, we can look at social media posts from our friends and family and okay, this person's they look amazing and they're doing CrossFit. This person, all she does is Pilates and look at how good she looks. This guy, all he does is run marathons and look at him. It doesn't really matter the modality, but I think we see everybody's modality that they're doing, and then we think we need to jump and do that. This guy's on keto. Look at him. He lost 170 pounds. Oh, keto is it. Okay, this person's on paleo, or this person's a vegan. And this, I mean, again, there's a million ways to make $1 million. And you got to find what works for you. And then I think then we got to put the blinders on. We got to stay in our lane. Not to say that we can't tweak it and change it when there's, some things that we're going to have to reassess along the way because I believe that's important. But I think we're honestly, if there's one word, Caleb, it's distracted. I think we're a distracted culture. We can okay, I'm going to go down this pathway and then I can look up, ooh, look what Caleb's doing. And that might be a great idea. And like maybe I should put that in my business, but I can look at Caleb and I can totally get sidetracked. And now I'm going over here and then I'm going off of what I'm meant to do, off of the successful trail journey that I'm supposed to be on because I've got the little squirrel or the shiny object syndrome and just pulled off our course. Because I think there's many ways to do it. There's many ways to achieve a goal. I mean, if you're going to run a marathon, there's many different marathon training programs out there, but you got to find the one that fits for you. But there's still going to be pain and suffering and discomfort. There's going to be days where you're going to want to quit, but it's fighting through them, having the grit and the resiliency to do that too. So I think if we can stay or not let the distractions pull us off our goal, and this could be personally or professionally, I think we'll win. I think it's almost a matter of attrition. Those that can set out and walk across that finish line, whether it's a year from now or 10 years from now, wherever they want to be, those are the people that are going to win because there's so many things along the way that just wants to pull us off track, trip up our progress, thwart the plan. And, and it's easy to take the bait and be pulled off. I mean, it's hard to stay focused nowadays. I think that's the biggest culprit.
I 1,000% agree with the distractions. I think what I've noticed, I'd be again curious to get your take on this. I think underneath the distractions, the reason why we allow ourselves to get caught in them is that we don't feel like we are enough. We don't feel like our purpose, our sense of self is enough to continue to invest in. So we worry about investing in some way, shape, or form in somebody else's dream or somebody else's purpose or somebody else's thing because we don't feel so solid in who we are and don't think that it's worth the time and the attention. Go figure, we give the attention, we sell it off to somebody else through social media or whatever. And for sure, the prevalence of social media just bombarding us and quite literally designed to capture our attention as much as humanly possible and keep us engaged in that. It's pervasive. It's pervasive. It's hard to remove yourself and say, and personally, my buddy sent me his app it's not his app, it's an app he's been using as well. It's called Screen Zen. I make no money off this, anybody who's listening, but I highly recommend it. I sent to my wife last night. I've been using it for probably 2 weeks. My baseline anxiety it's like way down.
Awesome.
It's insane. And it cut my usage well in half. Insane.
Cool.
And I thought I was pretty conscious of how much I was on social media. Whew. The amount of voices that are banging around in our head are often not our own. It's just somebody else's opinion. So what you were saying there about the distractions, it's so easy to pull us in this. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing this, and that person's doing that. Not remembering like, well, is that for this stage of my business right now, or later stage of my business, or like was that 3 years ago? What am I supposed to be doing now? because it lacks context. There's not an actual conversation with people. It's I'm just doing this is this guru on the internet speaking their whatever, and we for whatever reason we try to idolize in many ways these false gods as opposed to sitting in stillness and being one with ourselves and listening to the this other spiritual context that so many people are afraid to address. And I can say I've been there, done that. But I think you really highlighted a powerful point about the importance of becoming aware of just these distractions so that we can enjoy just doing the simple things, just the basic things
Right.
that that we know work. I get weird. Like sometimes, like, is this all I'm going to give somebody today? And the reality is, like, they're like, "Thank you. That's all
Yeah.
we're gonna. That's all I need to do." Oh my god, I can feel like I'm going to be successful today because I feel like I'm trying to live up to all these other obscene expectations. And there's the list of 75 different things I'm supposed to do just before I get to do the thing. It's supposed to like let's just do one thing. It's I'm ranting, but
Yeah, no, there's power in the simplicity of it all. And I think I think we live in a day and age where that is, in my opinion, that's bigger than ever right now. If you can simplify, I mean, even your daily routines. I mean, it's like, I've got a day where a lot of tasks and meetings and stuff like that. But the more that I can simplify my calendar, more that I can simplify, okay, getting prepared for the day mentally, more than I can simplify my workouts, more that I just keep drinking my water, stay hydrated. I mean, it's not like I've got to do 179 things today, but there's a few things that I got to be really, really good at. I want to focus on those things, so I'm really make sure I'm mentally clear and sharp and ready for those. But if I do these little simple things, if I'm taking care of my nutrition, I'll tend to perform better. I'm drinking my water, I'm getting my walks and my exercise. I'm more at peace. The more that I can simplify my life, I'm better for all those that are in my life. And I can operate at a better level, and I can even be more peaceful and more, where my anxiety is more subdued, or I'm not, reacting. I'm more responding in a, maybe a quiet, calm, respectful way if I need to. But it's just the more we can simplify our life and just, I would just recommend anybody, if that speaks to you, just take time in the next few days and just think about that. How can I simplify my life? Am I doing too much? Am I trying to do too much? Am I comparing myself and my journey and my walk with too many others? And just take a pause, reflect, and just see what comes up. And maybe there'll be like, yeah, I need to get rid of this, and this. You're going to get rid of those few things and watch yourself in the next few days, because you're going to be more calm, more relaxed, probably way more productive. You'll probably sleep better at night, less, um, confrontational. I mean, there's so many things that again has a ripple effect into that will benefit us.
with that, as you're talking about simplifying life, I think this is a great place to pivot to that many people do not consider in the whole holistic lifestyle transformation element is the relationships and integrating that. Obviously, you went through some big changes in your life through your entrepreneurial journey, and I don't think enough people understand that balancing. People talk about work-life balance, but navigating all these responsibilities and being the boss in so many different places in your life. What lessons could you share? And also, what have you shifted in terms of how do you navigate the responsibilities of your home life and your work life? Like, how have you evolved in those roles? So that especially like I think of marriage is one of the hardest things to navigate, make sure that connection stays alive. How do you navigate that?
Um, another good question, Caleb. Again, I think to put on the backdrop, I learned things the hard way, learned what not to do. I mean, before it was all work, 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 and my leftovers were for my family. Now I've reeled that back. I still like to work hard. I don't work the long hours that I used to anymore. Um, I've learned some skills to be a better, one, better communicator, two, better business owner, three, better financial planner. make better budgeting decisions, whether it's personally or professionally, not to put myself in predicaments where I'm going to put stress on my business or my family. Be present, you know, at my family events and stuff like that. So a lot of just simplifying some things to make life easier, but then also learning some skills and just it's like, all right, if I'm going to be successful in business, there's some skills that I know I need to, I can't just be a good salesman and that's going to make me a good business owner, because that's not the truth. I mean, we're going to, there's other areas from, business ownership, accounting, and stuff like that, that you still need to learn the skills of negotiation or collaboration or partnerships, whatever the case is, to learn and to grow in those areas. And knowing what those areas are, and then whether it's, taking a course, buying programs, reading books that's going to help us level up in those areas. I think you just got to take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know, one, reflect on what areas do I think I need to grow on, but then also I would talk to someone that, a person that you trust, or a mentor, someone that knows you well, maybe from professionally and personally, to say, hey, if there's an area that you think I could be better at, what would you recommend? And it's people that know you from a business standpoint, they're going to give you, or at least you hope they'll give you an honest feedback. Then, our spouse, talk to your spouse. They're going to be openly honest with you and say, well, you're good in this way, but you could be a lot better here, here, and here. And they're going to give us the cold hard truth. And if we can receive that, that's again right where we can start growing and making improvements in that area. So again, like I said a couple of times, I've learned things the hard way. And when you fall down pretty hard, all right, that hurt. Now what can I do to make some adjustments, changes, and reset the sails in this direction I want to go? But how can I do it the right way? And then again, I'm a person of faith, and I believe if we can take it to the Lord and we pray about it, we journal about it, He'll guide us and lead us in the right direction as well. And surrounding yourself, use the word environment again, have good environment in what we listen to and who we allow into that space between our ears to speak to us, whether it's through online books or podcasts, or people that we respect and know from an online world. Use that information and apply it, and read the right things, and fill our lives up and our mind up with inspiration that's going to help us take those steps in the right direction. And it's a process, it's a journey. I'd encourage people too to be patient with yourselves when we do fall down and we're learning and growing. One of my biggest character defects I say about myself is I'm very impatient. It's like, if I know what I'm going to do, I want to do this now, meaning like, all right, okay, in 30 days, I want to hit this number. And realistically, it's probably a tough number to hit in 6 months, but I'm learning that I need to slow my roll, be more of a patient person, trust the process, and even know that I'm going to fall or fail a couple times doing this, and giving yourself the grace that it's okay. That's a big lesson right there that I've learned. And just knowing that, hey, be patient with myself. No one's going to be our own worst critic than ourselves. So if we can give ourselves some grace, that goes a long way.
Kind of the underwriting thing that I was hearing in all that is a lot of humility, whether it's in a connection to God or to your relationships. Being willing to ask them for feedback and letting people be honest with you, and learning how to take that is really what I heard. And navigating that, there is something really powerful about when you just humble yourself. You can be there in the moment. Sometimes it doesn't feel great, at least initially, but we talked about being present in family situations. It's humbling yourself to say, all that other stuff I got going on, maybe business, I need to make some sales, like that's not as important.
Right.
As much as I think those things are important, what's really important is my kid cutting their cake and doing a little song and dance and whatever, or my dog barking around and just wanting some attention, like whatever, silly little things that we could. Nobody's going to remember that client debacle you had at the end of your life. You're going to remember, wow, was I there when I got to hug them and say I love them and be in that moment together? Those are the things that people give a shit about. Like
Right.
so
Exactly.
important. But humility, crazy how these basic things that everybody talks about always keeps coming up. It sounds kind of like, Hallmark card,
Yeah.
gratitude, humility. And then you really go through life and you get punched in the mouth a few times and you go, no, that's actually what got me through it. When I really came down to those fundamental principles, that's all it was. It's so hard to
Exactly.
do it over and over again, though. So it's crazy to that
Yeah.
it's so challenging in our human existence to just be consistent with just that. And
Yeah.
just that is not just anything. It
Correct.
is everything.
Yeah. I think we tend to make it a little harder than it has to be. I think we, other than being distracted, I think one of our maybe a setback that we strive that I think, or at least I see with my clients, is consistency. If you can consistently do the right thing, and let's just say have a positive attitude every day, you know, again, not that it's easy every day. Some days it's fine. Some days it's, we get up on the wrong side of the bed and for whatever reason, we're battling our emotions, we're battling stress in our lives. It's just hard to have a consistent positive attitude. But if we can do that over time, more and more consistently, I think the outcomes will eventually show up day after day after day. Again, not that's easy to do, easy not to do, but we want to make an intentional, conscious effort of it, and I think we'll reap the benefits from it.
I want to float something out there and get your feedback on it. And it actually had to do with the hard work stuff that I've heard. Like when you just brought up consistency again, most people say hard work equals success. And while I agree that sometimes you need to know what it feels like, that you can do hard things, it's the consistent thing that is often the hardest. And I've been
Mhm.
noticing lately, especially for my high performers that I end up working with, or they're like, I'm burnt out because all I do is see myself in that light. They've been only pitched hard work, not realizing like, well, what's smart work? What's efficient work? What's consistent work? What if it was easy? And I'm noticing there's a lot of guilt around feeling good in the work. And I can associate this, I'll use the example. So I was deep into the CrossFit thing. And when I look back, that was my idea of success. I am good because I can lift all these heavy weights and I can crush myself in these workouts. And I like success was, oh my God, I just got my ass handed to me. Here I am lying in a pool of my own sweat, muscles are writhing and whatever, praying to God, spare me. But like my identity was wrapped up in I can work hard. And
Yeah.
yes, I achieved external results that way. Most people don't know at that time in my life, I was walking around with knees and back pain that were just constant. Pretty much every joint in my body was constantly in pain. It took me like an hour and a half of mobility every day just to get ready to warm up and start working out. Now I'm like 10, 15 minutes, move a little bit, feel a little good, and I do a little workout. And like, I feel great. And I get pretty much the same external result that I want with a heck of a lot less effort, at least perceived effort. That's just something I've been doing a lot. And like, have you noticed that with people, like giving them like the permission element? Explore that a little bit for me.
I don't even know if I can go. You said it you said it perfectly, Caleb, because that's exactly it. I think hard work is a great thing that we have, and those of us that work hard, it's a great thing. And I don't want to knock it because I believe it really separates the winners from the losers. But when you bring it down, instead of, okay, I don't need to work out 4 hours today. I can get everything in good in an hour. I mean, I'm a big advocate of 30 to 45-minute workouts. You don't need to be at the gym for 2 hours a day. It's just being consistent, doing the right things, the right moves, the right sequences, stuff like that. But it doesn't have to be complicated. um, we want to set our bodies up for the longevity of it. We hopefully we're here for 75, 85, 95 plus years, and we don't want to beat our bodies up where they can't make it to 60. Um, but I think those of us that maybe are either driven or, it's just, we're hard work. It's been pounding in our head for our whole lives. It is a battle for us to sort of let that go a little bit and say, okay, how can I work smarter? I'm still going to give 100% at the gym, but I don't need to lift 2,000 pounds in weight and be here for 4 hours. It's a definitely a mind shift. But I think once you start doing that and you realize the benefit of, like just exactly what you said, you're not so sore. You start realizing that you can get out of bed and not being like, oh my gosh, my knees or my back hurt so bad. You do that a few days in a row and you realize, hey, I like how I feel and I'm not, killing myself to get there. So the proof's in the pudding a little bit right there. Um, and again, one of those things where I think a lot of us just have to learn the hard way. Otherwise, get with someone that will trust you and say, hey, just go here and here and here. And like, well, wait a minute. I'm used to doing this. I'm like, I know you are, but just trust me. You know, again, this is where I recommend people hire professionals like you and me. And there's thousands of other really, really good coaches out there that, we know the body, we know how to progressively load it or overload it to do it the right way where we're not killing ourselves or killing our clients. Because again, me and you learned it the hard way. Now we can apply it to our clients and say, hey, trust me on this one. I know this might feel like an easy workout. And it's so funny. I just did this other with the clients, like, go lighter, go lighter. We're doing everything stretching. I want to do some mobility stuff with your joints, everything. And they finally did it. And in the next couple of days, oh my gosh, Victor, I've been so sore, but that was such a great workout. And I used, 3s and 5s pound weights instead of, 15s and 20s. And once they realize that, they do it once or twice on their own. They're like, hey, okay, this guy might know what he's talking about. Or, again, they understood it because now they walked it out and they experienced it themselves. But that's a good point though. I think especially people that are very driven, and we know one way, it's high gear, high gear, high gear, high gear. But we can only go in high gear for so long. And I'm a big believer in seasons. We all have seasons of life. There's a season to plant, there's a season to harvest, there's a wintering season where you sort of recuperate, recover, all this stuff where you just sort of you should look at seasons of your life as well. There's a time where you might be, again, if you're training for a marathon, you're running almost every day. But then once the marathon is over, typically the season changes. Now it's the postseason. How do you do after the marathon, after the game is over? We take care of ourselves a little bit differently.
Go figure. Anybody who's actually got a real background in educational stuff has heard the term periodization. Go figure. Seasons comes into the lens, and they go, "Oh yeah, maybe we have to just ebb and flow." Again, I'm about to have a kid. Probably not going to win any land speed records in anything. And if I'm trying to do that, why am I not focused? Which am I going to choose to be more focused on? Am I going to choose to be focused on my kid and my wife during that time of need, or am I trying to be some whatever? So I think that
Yeah.
what you brought up is so astute, and so I just appreciated your take on that. I think we need more people talking about it because people think soreness is success. It's a
Yeah.
terrible indicator of a good workout. What's a great indicator is, did you keep showing up more consistently? How many people do you know like have really shown up for 3 days a week for a year and did all the drink you said 100 ounces of water you like, and ate from the foods that they're supposed to, all that kind of stuff, and walk? Who has done that for a year straight? Very few. Hence the reason why they're back in the same spot, because they were chasing the new, I want to be sore. What a great workout that is. But they couldn't maintain it because they had to go back to willpower as opposed to just do the basics and feel good consistently, or just have your dog barking in your ear. Come here, bud. Have your dog barking in your ear and say, I have to will you to work out every workout. Like
Oh, look at
the
him.
he just, it's really what it is. He just wants to be part of the party.
Yeah. Love
He
it.
got that drill sergeant side of him when it comes out. He's like, Dad, I'm gonna let you know what's up. Um, I have yet to meet somebody who's, and I'd be curious to hear your take on this. Like, I enjoy working with people who rather have more of a conversation, just be chill through their workouts, because they're like, listen, I've lived a life. I don't need somebody barking orders in my face. I get it. This is not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I get it. And there's just a softness and a maturity to that. And I know when I was younger, I did not respect, when I especially would go like the Globo gyms or whatever, I did not respect the old guy who was still walking around the little laps on the overhead thing. And I was like, that's all they're doing. They could be doing more. Like they're not like, that guy's still going.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
there's not a lot of other people his age in here, and I sure as hell don't see them doing the other things. So
Exactly.
that dude figured something out that I needed to get straight in my head, my
Yep.
own youthful arrogance and ignorance,
Yep.
thinking that I was going to know more than the wisdom of time. So
Yep.
anyway, that's my
Yeah, isn't
rant.
it funny? Us young guys were cocky. It's like, what? Why exactly? He could be doing so much more. I'm like, man, and he's probably shaking his head at us, and he's just like, "See, you guys just got to go for the longevity." And I love that because it's like he's in there doing what he can do, and that's great. And anytime I see somebody like that, I mean, it's like it fires me up now because it's like, oh my gosh, you're still going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going, sir. Keep going, ma'am. This is awesome. You inspire me just by seeing you here today. And I love that.
Different vantage point on success. I think that's
Mhm.
probably the reason why we just highlighted that. Let's hit our quick rapid fire fun questions before we get to the closing end of this because I have to keep an eye on the time. I want to be respectful of your time. Question number one. What sports did you play when you were younger and how did you play them? It could also be creative activities, but I know you mentioned athletics when you were younger.
In high school, I played baseball and football. Love football. I played a little bit of football in the Marine Corps and then a little bit in college. Not a lot, but big football fan. Baseball fan. I used to play a lot of softball too growing up, so those were great. What do you mean as far as how did I play them? Was I like a
Positions, were you captains? Like, I'll
got
use the
it.
example, like I was a lacrosse player and I played all the positions, but mostly midi, like certain kinds of concepts. How did you play?
Oh, you're lacrosse. You guys are tough then. I uh I was a linebacker, tight end, in football. I was a captain my senior year in high school. Outside linebacker when I played in the Marine Corps, and then I played shortstop, second base, for my baseball.
So when I think of those positions, especially tight ends and linebackers, there's a lot of like dexterity. There's a lot of I think that's often unsung. One is kind of like the quarterback, often like the middle linebacker, often the quarterback of the defense. Tight end is often one of the more wise people. They're kind of the safety valve for the quarterback. And then a couple of different positions, like shortstop, is often seen as like you got to have a big arm, but you got to be able to play. I think of those things, and the reason why I use that question is because I don't think how often we think about how we played our sports or how we did creative activities, how often it tells a very obvious tale of where we go with our professional life. So think about what it requires to be an entrepreneur. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to see a lot of different things. You got to wear a lot of hats. How you lead, if you're a captain, rising to like how do you influence people and get people to buy into United Vision, football of all things. Every single play is every single person matters. It always does. Uh, I thought that was really unique, and I took
I,
that especially from. Go ahead.
I love that, Caleb. I guess I never put the two and two together, but that totally makes sense. So yeah, I love that.
I went to SUNY Cortland, and for anybody who knows, it's a big PE health kind of college. Anyway, there was a class on play, and I really struggled with play, like free form play, when I was younger. I still do to this day in many ways. Um, but the idea of seeing the way they said it, now I look back, I'm like, that's pretty genius. Understanding how I go about playing my game and knowing that and looking at the styles of what I've done, I look now, I'm like, of course, this is all makes sense because my it was staring me in the face all along. So
That's cool. I
to
love
prove the
that.
thought.
That's cool.
Question number two: you're stranded on a desert island for the rest of your life. What movie and TV series are you bringing with you?
Ooh, movie would probably be A Few Good Men. Or no, I'm sorry, Men of Honor, Men of Honor, Men of Honor. My favorite movie. Um, TV series. What would it be? Gosh, probably have to be The Office, just so I could laugh a lot, keep things light. Probably those two. Men of Honor is just a never give up perseverance type movie. Love it. And then The Office, probably most people know it's just a it's just a great comedy.
Same lens. I think the beautiful thing about entertainment we engage in, go figure, listen to your story, Men of Honor, your military background, keep going, grit, resilience. Then also, I hear the other side of life that you've learned to be more present, joyous, laughing, connected. And you can see in a series like that's a little more of that repetitive, like how do I continue to engage with that? I think that's really
Love it.
cool.
Caleb, these are great questions, man.
You'll hear the full bore story behind it in a second as well. Question number three: what's your deathbed meal and who are you sharing it with?
Gosh. deathbed meal. Probably my mom's homemade tacos. Amazing, amazing. So I grew up on her homemade tacos, which are absolutely amazing. And then probably, God, my family, my wife and my kids. I mean, just if I could be surrounded by them, I mean, it'd have to be.
Love that answer, especially since it's home cooked. Like, oh, and who doesn't love tacos? People who don't love tacos, I don't think they're
Right?
like. There's got to be something wrong. And
Right?
I say that lightly a little bit, but like, come on, homemade tacos. Let's be real.
Come on now.
We have tacos almost every night in this house. It's Taco Tuesday almost every night around here. Twofold on this one for just this question alone. I believe firmly that world peace is going to be solved one family dinner at a time.
Mm.
And I think there's something very powerful when it's talking about the food we engage in. It tells a story about our culture, what we brought ourselves up in, and what we care about. So I think that's very powerful. And the second piece, because it is a deathbed meal, I wrote this. I officiated my youngest brother's wedding a few years back, and my speech was the window and the mirror. Long and short of it is, you've heard this saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul. But my premise is that it's also the mirror. It's showing you something about yourself. And on our deathbed, the person that is there holding our hand, that is sharing that moment, is our mirror. And it shows us the highest development of us as a person and the pursuit of our purpose in our lifetime. So I think that's really beautiful about what is our family showing us? What have I grown together? What have I built together? What is my legacy? I think there's a lot of power in all of everything you just shared, especially to share a lineage like your mom's, like here it's you, your mom, you, and then your family. This lineage of like love is I think something really beautiful in what you just shared with that. And to kind of welcome you into my own story, growing up, my father is actually the person I take after most in terms of my own spiritual development, because I emulate a lot of his stances. Is that when I was growing up, and there's that picture that I made that picture with him over there behind my shoulder. Growing up, that's what he does. He's an artist, and he would go sell, and he was gone quite often. But he did an amazing job of like still making me feel loved and appreciated. And it was these monthly or every 6 weeks we would have a boys' night. Go figure. I still do a weekly boys' night with my buddies. But he would take me out to Sports Authority, go get some sports stuff. Maybe we'd buy something, maybe we wouldn't. We'd go catch a movie, and we'd go share a meal together. So this is my little way of welcoming you into kind of my life story and
I love that.
a little bit of love through all those things there. So um,
That's
just some food
awesome.
for thought. Food some thought. You think sometimes these, yeah, I'm sure you've done it with your clients or whatnot, especially in a group environments like these icebreakers. They seem so silly, but if you really look beyond, well, why did I answer that way? Often it tells a much deeper story if we're willing to see how it integrates into our life. How did I get there? So I thought that was a lot of fun, man. I love hearing people's stories coming from just something so simple and so pure.
Those are great, Kayla. Those are great questions. And I never even thought of looking into them like that, but it makes total sense. That's awesome.
Yeah. Glad you enjoyed it. Let's do this. Somebody's listening right now. They're like, I love this guy. I need more Victor in my life. What's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
Best way is just go to my website. My website's just my name, victorstraw.com. STRAW, just like it sounds. Then you get all my contact info is on there and my socials. And if there's anybody that wants to reach out, and I didn't really allude to this, but I definitely, other than the depression, but I have a soft spot in my heart for anybody that has either depression or anxiety or struggles with mental health. It's obviously been a battle of mine for many, many years of my life. And if I can help somebody, anybody, and you want to reach out to me directly, yeah, my contact info is on my website. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you and reconnect that way or connect that way to see if I can assist you in any way possible.
I love that. And for anybody who didn't write all that down, don't worry. That will be in the show notes. So go do that. Catch up with Victor. Obviously, I think he's awesome. And I think you'll be happy to do so. This has been an office. I love just talking to people in general. So this is just a pure joy. Before we go, though, what final words of wisdom would you like to share with the audience?
don't give up. Don't give up. Don't quit. Keep your eyes open and your shoulders back and put a smile on your face, because there will be a day that it gets better. We're going to go through tough times. You may even be in a tough time right now, but don't give up. Don't give up. I'm living proof that there's a better day coming, and that you can make a bigger impact in more people's lives and in our world. And I believe you have that anointing on you, that God-given ability to walk it out and to keep going, because there are better days ahead. And I know it might sound, again, cliche or cheesy or corny, but don't give up. Keep going, keep pushing, keep living for one more day.
I just love that. So consistent, steady, loving, beautiful, all the way through, my friend. I'm just grateful for you. This has been really like joyous for me to start a friendship with you, and this has been a fantastic conversation. I really hope everybody goes and connects with you. So everybody go again, check out the show notes to connect with Victor. Thank you everybody for listening and sharing your time, your energy with us today. And until next time, I remind you to love everybody.